Hello and welcome back to TNN's coverage of the world's 9 best fantasy football players league. I'm your host, and this is what we have for you this week. Week 12 and the trade deadline are now behind the league, and teams are looking to get locked in for the playoffs or for a playoff push. To recap, we send it out to Timmy Shades.
Hope everyone had a lovely Thanksgiving. Timmy Shades here, back for Week 12. First up, the SWAT team smashed UNL, and there were no surprises there. SWAT team continues to roll. In case you missed it, Justin Tucker missed a kick on Sunday. UNL takes another victim. Next, we saw the Bandits pummel Blood, Sweat, and Beers, and both teams got what they wanted out of this matchup. Notre Dame alum Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah shined for the Bandits, while Jacob Hinkie continues to roll out 4 DBs in his starting lineup. Then we saw the Judon Noodles handle Coochie Gang with ease, as running backs carried the Nudes to victory. For Coochie Gang, however, it looks like they are the early winners of the Dak Herbert swap. Here we go! Team M. Vanek squeaked by Big Chungus, and that's thanks to a huge gain from Bijan Robinson. The new acquisitions from Big Chungus were hit or miss this week, and Will can't really afford any more slip-ups down the stretch here. We saw Mahorny stay hot against the mental brick walls, and there are whispers around the league that people don't want to see Mahorny in the playoffs, with their defense looking scary. The brick walls, however, are fading fast, and maybe a pessimistic Brett has a point sometimes. Lastly, Slob on My Dobbs powers its way past Hammond Throw behind a huge Josh Allen performance. With Coochie Gang up next week, could Slob make a run to the playoffs here? Hammond Throw loses Jonathan Taylor to injury, and you gotta wonder if his team can keep the wheels on for another few weeks or if they're gonna break down. We'll see. And finally, for our one big thing of the week, playoff seeds 5 and 6. With the top 4 pretty much locked in at this point, we have 5 teams fighting for the last 2 spots. All 3 6 and 6 teams, the Brick Walls, Hammond Throw, and Big Chungus, are on losing streaks, while both 5 and 7 teams, Slob and JK, are surging with back-to-back wins. Momentum is a powerful thing in football, and we'll see who rises to the occasion and who crumbles under the pressure. See you next week.
And now, here's Danny Football with his picks for Week 13. Hey, what's up, guys? The world's 9 best fantasy football players expert, Danny Football here, back with another week of expert predictions. Last week, pretty good for me, going 5 and 1. Bring my total on the year up to a very nice 48 and 24. My guest, Timmy, not a great week picking, going 3 and 3. Unfortunately for him, unable to beat the expert. But now, it's a new week. There's a new guest and a new chance to beat the expert. So guest, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Nooch here, historic owner of the franchise Slob on My Dobbs, formerly known as other names that everyone is a fan of. Happy to be here. I think I'm the last first-time guest of the season.
Yeah, Nooch, great to have you here. Last in-person guest, last first-time guest. The playoffs are coming up. They're very close. Yeah. Last chance to beat the experts and qualify for the playoffs. We got 3 in the playoffs right now. We'll see if we have 4. So, as with all in-person guests, we have another fun little game to play with Nooch. And then obviously we'll get into the Survivor Snake when we make the picks. But we're going with a little Price is Right tonight. We've got 7 questions plus 1. And
do the math.
So let's get into it.
Oh.
All right. Now we're thinking.
Okay. Question number 1. The number 1 pick in the rookie draft this year was Bijan Robinson. How many half PPR points is he averaging per game?
Oh, no.
Wow. Bijan. I do hate Arthur Smith.
What week are we in? 13?
Oh, this is so tough.
This is a tough first question.
Don't
I hope
forget.
all the loyal fans of the show are playing along at home.
Yeah, please play along at home.
Okay.
Bijan, he's had a rough season. Arthur
Yes.
Smith
Yep.
really does not help him out. But I think he still had an all right season. I went with 10.4.
That's unfortunate.
Nice.
I had a similar thought process. He's had an okay season for a 1-1 even in redraft leagues. He was a first round pick. I went with 9.5.
Oh.
9.5. Wow. Okay. So the point, unfortunately for the fans of the show, goes to Danny Football.
Nice.
Dang it!
He is averaging 12.94 PPR
wow.
half
Alright.
PPR points.
Underestimated
Bijan.
that. Good for
Yeah.
Bijan.
Bijan, not a bust.
Okay, so 1 point to Danny Football. Our second question. Commissioner Tooch tops the league's all-time standings with a record of 35-18. How many points has his team scored in that time?
Oh.
Total.
Total?
All right, time.
I got it in.
All right, I got it.
So I do know that my team right now has like 2,400-ish points, but I know that we have 2 extra players this year, so I'm thinking somewhere in the like high single-digit thousands. So I guessed 8,008, which also means boob. Just
Nice.
Nice.
Great guess. I went a lot higher than that. Did a little math. We did back of the napkin math. I went with 10,900.
Ooh.
Editors, zoom in on that. See that math we got going on.
Nice.
Is that some long division? No, that's a different.
Yeah.
Showed your work. I appreciate that. Nooch gets the point though,
Let's go.
because you went over
Oh.
10,605.
Oh.
Wow.
Look at that.
I know.
10,600.
You made a last minute decision. It cost you.
Yeah. That's tough.
All right.
I'm really not sorry to hear it. No.
This one we could get a bonus half point because I'm making up rules as I go. So this team has the lowest all-time points against. Lowest. What team and how many points? The team is worth half a point.
All right.
Your answer?
This one was tricky. I know that this man has had a lot of lucky wins throughout league history. So I went with Team Big Chungus 22. And I went with 9,699 points against.
This is a hilarious also answer of mine because I also know that this man has a lot of lucky wins. So I went with Big Chungus 22. And I went with 9,501 points.
All right, so you both went over.
Damn.
And neither of you got the person right.
Damn.
It was actually Timmy, which
Really?
surprised me.
Timmy is a fraud, so
Yeah.
it
But
checks out.
technically, Nooch was closer.
No, we both went over.
You
Those are
both
the
went over.
rules.
That's the rules?
That's the rules.
It's,
Okay.
it's 1-1.
Them's the rules.
1-1. Question number 4. The highest scoring player this season, and all time in your league actually, was Khalil Mack in week 4. How many points did he score? You
I
knew
did
this
know that.
immediately.
I think I know.
I'm well aware of the sack situation in our league, as many of the loyal fans may know. I was honed in on this.
Did this like drive you up the wall?
Oh, yeah, a
rage?
little bit. Luckily, I wasn't against him this week. I was against him next week. I guessed 62.
All right,
I went with 66.
Danny Football gets the points. It was 68.
He got I thought he got 62.
You got
I
68.
almost went with 68.
100
I almost went with 60.
100% thought he had 62 that week. I was just thinking he had 6 sacks.
Nooch, I think you were blinded by your defensive hate on that one.
A little bit, yeah.
All
I
right.
have some thoughts.
So we've got 2 points to Danny Football, 1 point to Nooch. Question number 5. In the 2020 rookie draft, how many people passed on Justin Jefferson?
I know there's at least 4. Clyde, Jonathan Taylor,
Oh, Clyde.
J.K.
Clyde,
Dobbins.
1-1 overall ever.
Consensus. 1-1 overall.
Kane.
Clyde, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, and CeeDee Lamb. I know all those 4 were taken
You think-
before JJ.
Do you think Jalen Rager went before him too?
I think no.
Okay.
I think no. I went with 6. I think there's some I'm forgetting about in there. I went with 6.
I don't like that you just keep one-upping me because I went with 5. I had the exact same thought, but I,
Damn.
was,
It was 7.
Oh!
Playing too conservative.
Who was it?
What?
Do we have a list of who?
I didn't write it down.
I'll have the editors take a screenshot.
Yeah, fact checkers, go look at that. Speaking of Team Big Chungus 22 and Lucky Wins, good script there. Will, yes, is leading the league in Lucky Wins thus far this year. How many does he have so far in 2023?
This year alone.
This year
alone. I know for a fact that Will has at least 2. He has 2 weeks back-to-back where he won as the second lowest scoring team in the league.
Hilarious.
His team is not good. I know he has 6 wins right now, and I said that 4 of them were lucky.
So again, Danny Football has done the +1 to my answer, as I have said 3.
That's smart. I almost went 3.
The correct answer is 3 wins.
Let's go!
I'm up 1.
So
you just gotta clutch this one.
You could clutch some. We do have a bonus question, though, in case we tie. Okay, so speaking of lucky wins, Joe, also known as the owner of the Mahorny conglomerate, has the record for lowest points scored in a win all time. How many points did his team score that week? This took place in 2020. I didn't write down the week.
Wow.
Lowest points scored in a win all time.
This is going on the Lucky Machisma Balls index card, too. So my thought process here is that this happened late in the season and he was playing Miguel, or someone who was actively tanking before we had implemented any of the tanking rules. So I figured it's low hundreds. I don't know. I put 135. I'm not sure.
Okay. I was also thinking low hundreds. I went a little bit lower here because I wanted to make sure I didn't go over, and I went with 121.
121. We were just over. I'm so sorry. It was 130.94 points,
no.
which is a brutally low weekly total for how many players you guys have. That is crazy. So sadly, Danny Football does take the win.
The expert.
Unfortunately. But for fuck's sake, let's,
Sure.
Let's just do the bonus question.
Do you want Team Sam Hinkie or the Judon Noodles?
Can I take Travis Kelce?
Sure.
Neither.
I'll take Will.
This owner has the most all-time transactions in the league.
Oh, easy.
And so, the owner and the number of transactions all-time.
The owner's the easy part.
He was also way, way ahead of the second.
I'm sure. Trust me, we know.
Easily. There's 17 weeks in the year.
Yeah, I can't quantify
how many waiver ad drops can you do in 1 week.
All right, I'll go first on this one. The owner should be clear to anyone who follows this league.
Of course.
Very active owner, always trying to scramble and make a move. I went with Miguel. Undefeated, never lost, historic franchise. I did specifically write Miguel because Danny not making that many moves. I've seen Danny Stort's name show up in the transaction report very few times throughout the course of this league. The number is the tricky part. This is year 4. I gave them a little over 100 transactions per year.
Okay.
I went with...
Your number's going to be higher than mine is.
491
okay.
transactions. I think Miguel is moving players a lot every week. 491.
So, I also went with the owners. I did do the owners of Undefeated Never Lost, Miguel, Danny, and Roberto Kraft.
Smart. Roberto Kraft, I think, has 1 transaction.
Good for him.
Wow.
Good for him. Yeah. And so I was thinking 17 weeks in a year, 18, 4 years-ish. You probably, 3 or 4 transactions a week on average. So I went with 237.
Wow. Very different answers.
Yeah.
It was pretty much right in the middle. It was 330, and it was Undefeated Never Lost.
I almost put 333, and I'm so happy that I didn't do that.
So you get a moral victory here.
Yeah. What was the final score?
It was
4-2.
I think
4-2 plus 1.
Yeah, 4-2 plus 1.
Yeah. Thank you, executive producer, for all your hard work. Thank you, Danny Football, for all your hard work.
Oh, I do nothing. I just show up.
Can I get started?
Unable to beat the expert in The Price is Right, but I will give you the tiebreak advantage if you're able to beat Timmy's record on the show. Timmy,
fraudulent record.
Timmy, if you maintain the record, I'll give you the tiebreak advantage for last week. Unfortunately, you were 2 games picked behind me, so it doesn't matter. But moral victories. Nooch, you got 2:30 to beat. About 2.5 minutes.
Sure.
Joe's about 6.5 minutes. We'll see how you do.
Okay.
All right.
Hopefully I can beat Joe.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. All right.
All right. In our first matchup, we have the Texarkana Bandits taking on undefeated, never lost. Bandits favored in this one at 78%. This one really kind of just 2 completely different sides of the league. Bandits kind of out there front runners right now, maybe title favorites. Undefeated, never lost, classic bottom dwellers. Fans of the show will know that I am high on this Bandits team, especially Trayvon Walker. And Trayvon, the Bandits, they have Old Reliable on their team, Matt Milano. Great player, very consistent player.
He's a great locker room.
But I really think that Trayvon Walker should take on the new Old Reliable name. This man was projected almost exactly what he scored this past week.
Wow.
Was
it 4 points?
About as reliable as you can be as a player. For undefeated, never lost, not a lot of high hopes with this team. I think they're probably looking on towards next season. Not much hope for them in this matchup. I'm staying on the Bandits train. Still not getting off. I'm going to go with the Bandits in this one.
No!
Nooch, who do you like in this matchup?
I think undefeated, never lost is a historic franchise, but
Of course.
as any sane person would believe.
It goes without saying at this point.
But I do think that the Bandits are a good. I do think that the Bandits are a very quality team.
Of course.
I think CD is having the time of his life with Dak right now. It's not going to last for.
That's wrong. I appreciate the ingenuity, though.
Just trying to bring it up. Just trying to carry it up. I'm picking the Bandits in this one.
Great pick. Great pick. Could not agree more. Next up, we have Blood, Sweat, and Beers taking on the SWAT team. SWAT favored at 63% in this one. Nooch, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Wait, who's playing?
Blood, Sweat, and Beers and SWAT.
Okay, so Blood, Sweat, and Beers, I think, is... That's a record for the lowest...
Quickest drop.
Blood, Sweat, and Beers, I think, is not as... I'm just not allowed to talk during this. Blood, Sweat, and Beers, I think, is not as bad as they would like to be.
Uh-huh.
I think they have some solid players on the team. I don't know if Aaron Jones is still hurt.
I believe so.
But, I think they made some good moves getting rid of Alvin Kamara. I think they still could do a couple of... Well, they can't anymore because of the trade deadline. But they could have done a couple moves. But at the same time, the SWAT team is a juggernaut. I think TJ Watt is he's insane. To refer back to a Family Feud question from last week, he would be the one where I would drop my entire roster for him. I would do that for TJ Watt. So I'm picking the SWAT team in this one.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick.
I was so close.
I'll make my pick now. I'll let you focus on that.
Thanks.
The SWAT team, pretty good spot for them right now. They're currently sitting at 8-3, big win streak, and they're right at the top of the SEC division with the Bandits. Big matchup.
What is that?
Next week
gravity?
Between the SWAT team and the Bandits. I'm hoping, as just a fan of the league, that the SWAT team does not overlook Blood, Sweat, and Beers this week. This team, look, they're in rough shape right now. They don't have much talent, but they've got that grit. And I think that grit is probably going to carry them to the first overall pick in the draft next year. I'm fully expecting Jacob to have Jamar Chase and most likely Marvin Harrison for the foreseeable future. This Blood, Sweat, and Beers team, they're not much to sweat about right now, but I will be sweating about this team come 2025.
Not much to Montez sweat about right now. That was a good one.
That was a
He's
good
on
one.
Blood, Sweat, and Beers.
I appreciate that. Look, not too much to say in this one. I think this is pretty lopsided just based off the expectations. I'm expecting that big matchup between SWAT and the Bandits next week to take the division and likely a first-round bye. I'm going to go with the SWAT team to take home the win in this matchup.
That's a good pick.
Next up, we have Ham and Throw taking on the Judon Noodles. Noodles favored at 53% in this one. A little bit closer than some would expect. Judon, look, it's a team I really don't like down the stretch. Known chokers. They've had a real rough time in this league. Rougher than Nooch is having in this game right now. That's going to be a lot of extra time.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I've already lost.
Sorry.
This is for pride at this, at this
Oh,
point.
yeah. I'm listening in now.
Ham and Throw. This is a team I've been very low on all year.
Of course.
And I've had to
As you should.
I've had to reluctantly pick them a couple times over the past couple weeks, and I realize now how big of a mistake that was. Ham and
I don't
Throw
know why you do that.
single-handedly cost me the win, the 6-0 win last week. My first ever 6-0 week. I lost strictly because I picked Ham and Throw, and they choked the game against Slob. A tanking Slob team at that. This Ham and Throw
We'll get
team-
to that in a sec.
This Ham and Throw team, they went out and bought Calvin Ridley at the deadline, which I thought was a very confusing move for them. It's kind of like that middling, neither here nor there, very fifth place move out of them.
Mhm.
Calvin Ridley, yeah, he'll help you a little bit, but is he really going to move the needle and put you into a championship window? I don't think so. I'm still expecting Ham and Throw, if they even make the playoffs, to end up in that fifth place game. But at this point, I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs. I thought their deadline moves were very weak, very questionable decision making. The Judon Noodles, look, they choke, but they're no Ham and Throw. And for that reason, I'm going to go with the Judon Noodles in this one.
I think that's a smart pick, Danny Football. And I appreciate that pick. More so than I appreciate this. There you go. You know what?
I got that one.
Just for that, I'm picking Ham and Throw.
Ah.
That is a very Ham and
Bold.
Throw pick
Bold.
of a move. I think, and here's why. I do
Please,
agree.
let me know.
I do agree that Ham and Throw is a very fifth place team.
Yes.
But in order for Ham and Throw to get the fifth place spot, they do need to make the playoffs, and this is a must win for them to make
That's
the
true.
playoffs.
That's true.
I agree they're going to be in that fifth place game, but I think they have to win this game to get there. So I'm picking Ham and Throw.
Love the pick.
Anyway. You kill me. What are we at, 20 minutes?
Probably. Next up, we have Slob taking on the Coochie Gang.
Hell yeah.
Coo favored this one at 62%. Nooch, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
So, Mr. Football, I'm not sure if you took a look at my bench this week.
I have.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of buys.
There are a lot of buys. Some may even say that you don't have a quarterback.
Well, I, like the New York Football Jets,
Uh-huh.
have I had some aspirations to start the year. Had a tough injury to Austin Eckler. Have
That was painful to watch. That was painful.
and had a slow start, but now we're still having a slow middle, and
Slow
we're probably
and
gonna have
slow and steady.
probably
wins the
gonna have a
race.
slow end. So regardless, I do think that, unfortunately, Jalen Phillips was having a year. Then he, went and played on MetLife turf.
Yeah.
But I think that Slob on my Dobbs, to say the full name, Danny Football, will come home with the victory in this one. Let's go, Slob.
I respect the audacity. This team currently has no quarterbacks. Josh Allen on a bye. I don't even remember what other quarterbacks are on this team outside of Josh Allen.
Can you say my full name? Just for me.
No,
for my pain right now.
No, I can't do that. I'm boycotting the name. My producers told me that legally I shouldn't say the name, so I'm gonna have to continue my boycott. The Coochie Gang. Look, this team. I'm very happy that they got their first round pick back. I think that's going to be huge for them. They're probably going to have a very high draft pick. Not much hope for this Coochie Gang team. However, nice.
Congrats.
First try.
11 minutes.
Flat? Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
If you take 10 minutes off of that, I beat Timmy.
That's...
I made it to the top, to the head of the snake 3 times.
Yes.
It
was painful.
Yeah.
The top's the hardest part.
It is.
Surprisingly,
Also,
the bottom is also pretty
That's because you weren't cheating. Or there was a strategic way to do it, and that's to just go straight up. Because this opening is not big enough for the ball to slip through.
Oh. Phooey.
As I was saying, Slob, Josh Allen, Josh Dobbs, and even AOC football version, all on a bye this week.
Yep.
Tim Boyle is certainly a decision. I heard that some owners were thinking of putting in a high waiver claim for Tim Boyle just to try to block you from picking him up this week.
I figured that was why I put as much fab as I did.
It didn't happen, but I'm sure his 5 points will go a long way for Slob in this matchup. Coochie Gang, very low on this team right now. They're probably about as low as you can get for a team. Not much talent, a lot of buys. I don't really see much of a path forward for this team, but I really don't see a path forward for Slob this week. I'm going to go with Coochie Gang to eke out the victory and end Slob's last-ditch playoff hopes.
I understand.
For our next matchup, we have Team M. Vanek taking on the Mental Brick Walls. Team M. Vanek favored at 71%. This is a pretty big matchup in the Big Four division. Brett's #1 overall pick in the division drafts. Currently sitting at the top of the division.
Top of the league.
I'm pretty sure he's got the division basically locked up. I mean, there's a chance he loses it on points for if he were to lose out and one of the other teams were to win out, but looking pretty unlikely right now. Brett may really come to regret that first overall pick, and he was solid in that conviction. So I think it would be the ultimate payback for Team M. Vanek to go out there, beat the Brick Walls this week, and really put a scare into the Brick Walls as far as their playoff hopes go. Team M. Vanek, people have been sleeping on him for a little bit. I think people are starting to warm up, and I think that's very justified. This Brick Walls team, not great. Really not great. Jeez, what else do I have to say about this team? I thought Brett was crazy when he came on the show and was so low about his team a couple of weeks ago, and he was right. So I would not be surprised at all. You heard it here first. I would not be surprised if the Brick Walls miss the playoffs. I'm going to go with Team M. Vanek to pick up the win in this one.
I think that's a good pick. I agree. The #1 overall pick of Team M. Vanek is looking pretty shaky,
Very
to say the least, right now by Brett. Also, have to consider the first-round pick swap that he gave Timmy.
True.
For, was that Will's team?
For Will's team.
Yeah.
Will also in the playoff hunt.
Maybe Will doesn't have lucky wins. It's Brett has lucky losses that he's given to other teams when they play Will.
Has Brett had the worst draft in league history? Outside of Visconti drafting Jalen Rager, of course.
Yeah. I was going to say Terrace Marshall is up there.
Terrace Marshall's a good one.
Although he might. Brett might. So I do think that Team M. Vanek has Bijan, who averages, what was it, 12
something points a game, yeah.
And Brett doesn't have Khalil Mack to get 60-something points again. Well, he might, but he probably won't. So I'm going to pick Team M Vanek in this one. I also do think that Team M Vanek has fire going.
True.
They're playing hard. So I think Team M Vanek's going to take this one.
Hot team right now, Team M Vanek. Finally, we have our marquee matchup of the week. Team Big Chungus 22 taking on JK We're Still Mahorny. Big Chungus currently favored this one at 56%. Who do you like in this matchup?
This is a fun one because I know there's a lot of playoff implications with this.
Big. That's why it's the marquee matchup.
That's why it's marquee matchup, always. And at the same time, I think it might be one of the uglier games of the week.
Yeah.
These are two teams that could go off at any point or could lay a dud, lay 130 points. But one of these teams has to win. And while I'm sitting here, I'm going back and forth. I think Tyreek might have a big game. I think Jalen Waddle might not have a big game. I think I'm going to have to pick Will in this one. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Take the under in this game. But I do think Will might pull it out. He's going to get some kind of luck. He's going to have some kind of dumb game where Joe's team puts up 0 points. And I think Will's going to take this one home. And he might lock in a playoff spot with that.
He might.
Yeah.
He might.
People forget I have both of these teams' first-round picks. So I wish they could both lose. But
they could tie.
Would
you like to go on record first tie in league history?
Call push? Or call post? No.
Smart.
I'm taking Will.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick here. This JK team, they really snuck their way back into playoff contention somehow. I think max points 4 is going to be a little tricky for them. They're going to need to probably be a game up on some teams. I don't know how likely that is right now. But if they win out, you never know. Anything's possible. I know some viewers of the league are very high on this JK team. Cough, cough, Miguel. I personally am not as high. I think there's still a lot of talent. Very talented team. There's just something about the mesh that it does not... It's not all there for JK.
Something going on in the locker room.
Yeah. I know JK was shopping around some guys at the deadline. Joe Mixon, Christian Kirk. A lot of guys that could go a long way towards helping this team to a playoff push, but they got to get through Big Chungus 22 to get there. And Big Chungus were certainly the winners of the trade deadline. They made the biggest moves probably in league history. I'll say it.
It was a
big haul for Team Big Chungus. They didn't mesh as well last week. They had a pretty nice game, actually, coming up short against Team M Vanek, who's been a very nice team. I think Big Chungus actually has the talent, if they make it to the playoffs, to compete. Their guys could boom, and it's certainly not a team that I would want to face in the playoffs, if I had a team, of course. I said last week that Big Chungus, when you get a lot of new guys together, it takes a little bit for them to mesh. I think they've got that 1 week under their belt. I think this is the week Team Big Chungus 22 is fully actualized as a team. They've reached the highest tier of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization, and I'm going to go with Team Big Chungus 22 to pick up the win in this one.
It's interesting. I had seen that pyramid of needs, but the only words that I see in there are nerve sacks.
I figure when we have Mr. Consultant himself, I gotta flex my business muscle on this one. The hierarchy of needs, Maslow. Yeah, that was good. Well, Nooch, it's been great having you on the show. I'm wishing you all the best of luck with your picks. Of course, not as good as me. Can't beat the expert. No tiebreaker advantage for you.
I'll just win outright.
The snake it left a little to be desired, but
if you cut off the first digit, it looks like a solid score. That's usually what happens.
The editors are only truthful on the show, so not a great score. But anyway, it's been great to have you on, and maybe we'll see you back here next year.
Of course. Thanks, Danny Football.
And thank you, Danny Football and guest Nooch, for those great picks. That's all we have for you this time. Be sure to tune in next week to see how things shook out. I'm your host, and this has been TNN.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell.